What's going on, guys? Total Drama here today, bringing another video, and in this video, I am actually going to be going over Total Drama plans that never happen again. This is my third time doing this. You guys seem to really enjoy these. Every time I've made one of these, both videos have broken 2,000 views, and that's crazy. The most recent one that I did around a month ago, already has over 5,000 views, and that's absolutely crazy. So I can obviously tell that you guys like these videos a lot. So I am going to do another one. Obviously, I'm doing it right now, but this time, instead of bringing any new plans that never happened, because I pretty much talked about all of them in the last video, today I am actually going to be giving my thoughts and opinions on them more, because last time I just said what they were, but this time I'm actually going to be expanding on that and just kind of giving my opinions on how I feel like the seasons would have played out with these various things happening. And also, for those of you who have never seen any of my Total Drama Plans That Never Happened videos, then you guys will be finding out what the plans are in this video, and also my opinions and how they would have affected Total Drama, all in this video, so you don't have to watch the other two videos. Before the video starts, I just want to propose something to you guys. So I am at 830 subscribers right now, and there are 2 days left in 2016. There's today, and then there's tomorrow. If this channel, the Total Drama channel, my channel, can get to 850 subscribers before the new year hits, so by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 31st, if we can get 850 subscribers before then throughout the year of 2017, I will make at least 100 suggested top 10s, and they can be Total Drama top 10s, and they can be other things. I can do part 2s of certain top 10s and stuff like that, but I will do at least 100. And for those of you who are thinking, well, there's 365 days of the year, why don't you do more than just 100? This is at least 100, because I don't know how many are going to be suggested. If there's 200 suggested, then I probably will do 200. I'm just setting it at 100 because, I never know when I'll suddenly lose time and I won't be able to make one, or just something like that. And also, I know you guys really enjoy the Best Contestant series, so I don't want to spend all the time making this and completely forget about that series and the Best Character series and stuff like that. But I will do at least 100 Total Drama top 10s, or any top 10s suggested by you guys throughout the year of 2017. It doesn't even have to be a top 10. It could be like a top 87 Total Drama characters, or a top 4 Total Drama characters, just something weird like that. It could be any of those, and I will do at least 100 of those next year. So yeah, guys, that's the deal. If this channel hits 850 before the new year hits, then I will do 100 suggested Total Drama videos, top 10s, any kind of video. I will do any of those 100, at least 100 of those next year. And with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright guys, so the main thing that I talked about in the last two videos was I talked about how there were 2 people that were not included in All-Stars that were supposed to be a part of the All-Stars cast, and they were actually supposed to replace 2 people. Well, for those of you who don't know, it was 1 person from the Heroic Hamsters and 1 person from the Villainous Vultures. On the Heroic Hamsters side, it was actually supposed to be Sam, was not supposed to be on the team, and it was supposed to be Brick over Sam. So that would have been definitely interesting. How I feel like this would have affected the season, I don't really think that they would have done anything with Brick. I, honest to God, feel like Brick would have had the same fate as Sam, in terms of he would have just kind of been there. I don't think he would have smuggled pancakes, but, I just feel like he would have had the same fate as Sam, where he was really underutilized in the season. And honestly, I think this would have been better off for Sam's character if he wasn't in All-Stars, because Sam was very derailed in All-Stars. A lot of people dislike his character a lot because of the fact that he didn't do anything in All-Stars, and that actually really sucks, because he is one of my favorite male characters in Total Drama, and to have them trash him in All-Stars really sucked. So if Brick was in All-Stars, I feel like it would have saved Sam's character a little bit, and a lot of people wouldn't have hated him as much. And also, it would have been cool to have Brick in there, because there's a lot of people complaining that Brick was not in there. And, I would have liked to have seen what they would have done with Brick, Joe, and Lightning. I feel like that could have been a cool angle. And who knows, Brick could have gotten far, potentially won. You never really know. But I feel like Brick being an All-Stars would have been better than Sam being an All-Stars just because of the fact that Sam was so underutilized. I don't really know what they would have done with Brick, but I definitely feel like it would have been a lot cooler for Brick to be an All-Stars. And the other person that was supposed to be an All-Stars was actually Anne Maria, and Anne Maria was supposed to be an All-Stars over Gwen. And this one has its flaws, but ultimately I feel like Anne Maria being an All-Stars over Gwen would have done some good things in terms of the storyline. I don't feel like Anne Maria would have necessarily brought many things to the table. I feel like she definitely would have been in the, first 4 eliminated. However, I do feel like Anne Maria replacing Gwen would have been beneficial to Gwen's character, because if Gwen was not in All-Stars, then that could have rekindled Duncan and Courtney's friendship, and it also wouldn't have butchered Courtney in the way that it was, because, Courtney's, the whole Sunday Muddy Sunday, Ed McDonald, great guy, if it wasn't for Gwen being in All-Stars, then that would have never happened, because, Gwen was the one that was like, okay, well, vote yourself off, and everything like that, and it was Courtney's vote against herself, which ultimately led to her elimination. And if Courtney hadn't voted herself off because of Gwen, then obviously Courtney would have stayed, because Gwen wouldn't have been in the season. And this would have been a good path to have Courtney actually make it into the finale. And this would have also, potentially brought back Dunkney. I mean, we may have had some sacrifices down the road, like Scottney may have never happened, but ultimately, Dunkney is better than Scottney in my opinion, so I wouldn't have minded that, obviously. But, I feel like Gwen not being All-Stars would have been a good thing. Now, talking about Anne Maria more, I feel like Anne Maria could have done some stuff in All-Stars. Anne Maria and Heather definitely would have had some interesting altercations, and ultimately, I don't think Anne Maria would have gotten very far, but, you never really know. She could have somehow won, but it's very unlikely. But ultimately, I feel like she would have been decent. She definitely wouldn't have won, in my opinion, at least. I feel like she would have been one of the first 4 eliminated. Where I'm getting at is, Anne Maria probably wouldn't have done very well in All-Stars, but it definitely would have been the best way to go. I feel like Anne Maria being in All-Stars would have been better than Gwen being in All-Stars, just because of, how ruined the whole love triangle was, and just how ruined Courtney's character was, and Duncan was ruined by it, and Gwen was even ruined by the whole fiasco with them 3, because there were so many loose ends that could have been tied with Gwen not being in this season, and who knows, Gwen not being in this season would have maybe given the writers the opportunity to potentially bring her in Redonkulous Race. I don't really know who she would have teamed with. She could have teamed with one of her goth buddies back home, or maybe came in with Cody and said something about how they've become really good friends, since they've been off World Tour, or just something like that. And I feel like there was definitely a lot of missed opportunities with this, and I feel like Gwen not being an All-Stars would have been a great thing, because she could have done some work in Redonkulous Race and potentially brought Cody in with her. And, there were a lot of things that could have happened if Gwen wasn't an All-Stars, and ultimately there's obviously no changing it now, but I feel like Gwen not being an All-Stars would have been a really good thing, and Anne Maria definitely could have done some stuff in All-Stars. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is I would have preferred Anne Maria being an All-Stars over Gwen. I'm just checking my notes, and next to the thing that I'm getting ready to talk about, I have in parentheses, Ed McDonald, what an icon. The next thing I want to talk about is something that I mentioned in the last video, and this is that Courtney was supposed to win All-Stars, and this is not 100% true. It isn't canon, but it's very, very likely. It was one of the most likely situations, and it was the most likely outcome out of, this entire fiasco, because Ed McDonald was the one who, kind of had that executive order to say, okay, Courtney is being eliminated, she's getting 5th, and he was the one that came up with Sunday Muddy Sunday, and just everything like that. And, there's not really too much to talk about this, because Courtney winning All-Stars definitely would have changed the season a lot, obviously, but I don't really know how I would have felt about it, just because there's too much information left out of this. We don't know what the road would have been like to get to All-Stars, or at least the road in the Final 5, the placements of the Final 5, or anything like that, and we don't know who the person that would have gotten 2nd or 1st, would have been the alternate winner, would have been, I feel like Courtney and Scott in the finale of All-Stars would have been awesome, with the whole Scottney line going on, and just everything like that. But, ultimately, I don't really know how this would have played out. I feel like Courtney and Scott would have been the best case scenario for the season at the Final 5. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Courtney potentially winning the season, because it wasn't 100% canon, but she more than likely was the favorite to win, and she obviously didn't win because of Ed McDonald. And I actually read one of the comments that said something about how it had to have been all the writers agreeing on it, because there's no way that Ed McDonald could have just said, nope, she's going at 5th, and that's the end of the story. And, I feel like the writers obviously had to have agreed on it, but it was against their will, if that makes any sense. Obviously he didn't hold them at gunpoint, but, if Ed McDonald is throwing like a hissy fit, and he's really being complicated, and he's being very unprofessional, then the other writers would have said, okay, listen, we're going to be professional about this. We've got to get these scripts done. Let's just let him have his way, and let's just eliminate Courtney. I feel like that's probably what happened, so that's kind of like to answer that little commenter, to reply to that. But yeah, back to the whole Courtney winning, I don't really know how this would have affected, because like I said, there's too much information left out of this, but I feel like a Courtney and Scott finale would have been the ideal situation here, and that would have actually been great, and potentially made All-Stars one of the best seasons that we've had with that finale. The next thing that I talked about in the last video was how Total Drama Revenge of the Island was originally called Total Drama Reloaded. I don't really feel like this would have changed anything. I don't really care about the name too much. I feel like Revenge of the Island is a cooler name, but ultimately it wouldn't have really affected anything, so that's really all I have to say about that. And the next thing that I talked about in the video was how there was originally supposed to be a season that had all of the first 2 generation characters, so the characters from basically Island to Revenge of the Island. So I guess season 5 was supposed to be all of those people, and this would have done a lot of things. I don't really know how this would have messed with the Total Drama timeline, because this could have been All-Stars. I feel like this definitely would have pushed All-Stars back, and if we had this season with everyone, I don't feel like we would have had an All-Star season at all, at this point in time. Potentially this season, that if there was a Total Drama season airing currently, then I feel like this could have been the time for All-Stars, but this really would have pushed All-Stars back, and it definitely would have brought Pahkitew Island closer, because if you have 3 seasons with, the same cast, adding 3 characters, and then you have season 4 with a new cast, season 5 with all of the people, season 6 would definitely be a good place to bring in a Pahkitew Island cast, and then season 7 would have probably been All-Stars or Ridiculous Race, and then the next season would have been, the other of the 2. But yeah, this definitely would have changed a lot of things. I don't really want to ramble about this too much, just because I don't really know how I would have felt about this, because for all I know, it could have been like Noah, Owen, Duncan, and all of my favorite characters going home first, so I don't really know how this would have played out. The elimination order is key, because this could have been a terrible season. There's just too much information left out of this, so that's really all I have to say about that. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about, that I did talk about in the last video, I'm just going to run through the rest of these really quick. This is that the island was supposed to say toxic and All-Stars, but because of the, I don't remember, I think it's Fukushima, I think was the disaster in Japan that took place in 2011, they had to scratch that storyline. They had to change some of the team names in Revenge of the Island, and, they just had to, I guess, dumb the toxicness, if that's not a word, but you guys get what I'm saying, down from Revenge of the Island and All-Stars. They had to remove it completely. I don't really feel like this would have, really affected too much. It all depends on how they would have implemented it, and, added it to the writing, integrated it into the storylines. That's the word I was looking for. But, it all depends on how they would have utilized this throughout the island, so I don't really have anything to say about this, because, there is just too much information left out of this, because, I don't really know how they would have utilized it. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep repeating myself, because I've made all my points. Let me know how you think that would have affected anything, but I've already said what I think about it, and that's all I have to say about that. Alright guys, so the last thing I want to talk about is how Lindsay was the original favorite to win Total Drama Action, but they eventually gave it to Beth, and, this would have really changed a lot, obviously. Changing a winner would have been huge, because this would have changed seasons and seasons to come, and, I don't really know how this would have played out. The best opponent that I could find for Lindsay would be either Justin or Harold. I don't really see a Duncan and Lindsay finale working. I feel like it's just as random as the Duncan and Beth finale. So I wouldn't have made this the season that Duncan won. I would have kept a world tour as Alejandro and Heather, and then Revenge of the Island, obviously, that's a new cast. I feel like if Lindsay and Harold were the finalists in Action, which probably would have been the most likely scenario out of the 2, then it would have been probably Duncan winning All-Stars, because you gotta give Duncan a win somewhere around there. So I feel like if Lindsay had won Action, then I feel like Duncan would have won All-Stars, or, maybe been in a redonkulous race or just something like that. There's two, this is a huge domino effect, and I can't really just name everything off the top of my head, but Lindsay winning Total Drama Action definitely would have changed a lot, and it probably would have made the storyline a lot better, because, let's be real, Beth is one of the most undeserving finalists of Total Drama. She's probably the worst next to Mike and Zoe from All Stars. And I've said all I really want to say about this because there's just too much information left out, as I've said about the last, 400 things. But I feel like you guys get what I'm saying whenever I say that this definitely would have changed a lot. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the video today. Please like the video if you did enjoy. Comment down below how you think this would have affected the Total Drama timeline. I feel like all of this stuff definitely would have affected it. And ultimately, I couldn't really, figure out what I was going to say about some of these things. Some of the things I feel like I did make my points that I would want to, but a lot of the stuff on this list, there's just not enough information to really kind of give a hypothesis of what would have happened, and ultimately, I feel like I did my best in the video, and so let me know in the comments down below how you think this all would have affected, because I really want to know what you guys are thinking, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If we hit 850 subscribers before the new year, then I will do at least 100 of your guys' suggested videos, whether it's a Total Drama video, Total Drama countdown, anything of those nature. And yeah, that's gonna be it for the videos today. So I hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace out.